Stranger Things is known for its crazy scenes and insane, scary monsters that come out of nowhere and eat the flesh of the humans in Hawkins, Indiana. Since 11 unintentionally opened an interdimensional portal to the bizarre realm of the Upside Down, small-town America has become the hub for all things strange. She's battled everything from prowling packs of demon dogs to towering demogorgons with her friends Dustin, Lucas, Mike, and Will. Stranger Things, now in its third season, has featured a wide array of monsters over the years. The series began with supernatural creatures such as the Demogorgon, eventually progressing to a full-fledged monster element with the introduction of the dreaded Mind Flayer in Season 2. In today's video, we're going to discuss some of the most powerful monsters from Stranger Things and ranking them from scary to extremely creepy. But before we get into the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel with notifications turned on so you don't miss any of the new videos we post. The premise of Stranger Things. Stranger Things is a science fiction horror drama set in the early 1980s in the small fictional American town of Hawkins, Indiana. The series tells the story of a group of children who are surrounded by mysterious supernatural phenomena as a result of an illegal science experiment gone wrong. This has created a divide between worlds and unleashed a strong evil force from another dimension, which the kids refer to as the Upside Down, a fascinating insight into the essence of evil, but more on that later. Early in Season 1, one of the twins, Will, goes missing without a trace. 11, a mysterious girl with telekinetic abilities, escapes from a nearby underground lab and agrees to assist Will's friends in their quest for him, after realizing she might have been unintentionally involved in his disappearance. The series is full of fun references to pop culture phenomena like Dungeons & Dragons, Star Wars, the Ghostbusters, and more, drawing inspiration from masters of the sci-fi and horror genres like Stephen King, Steven Spielberg, and John Carpenter, and strongly statistically inspired by classic 80s horror films like A Nightmare on Elm Street. Stranger Things' deeper appeal lies in its exploration of relationships. Despite its spine-chilling moments of horror and sweet 80s nostalgia, the interplay between the masculine and the feminine is particularly prominent, as are themes of fatherhood, motherhood, and self-giving love. Finally, the show's heart and humor prevent it from being a mere gore fest, transcending geek appeal to become a compelling tale of friendship, redemption, and good triumphing over evil. D'Artagnan. Starting off the list is the D'Artagnan. D'Artagnan might be a candidate for Best in Show if there was a category for cutest instead of the stuff of nightmares. This little guy started as a slug-like creature discovered by Dustin, and grew into an adolescent version of the horrific Demogorgons the crew faces later in Season 2. His interests led him to put the slug in his turtle's tank and feed it Three Musketeers bars one Halloween night, hence its deceptively altruistic name. Dart quickly grew from Dustin's hand to the size of a small dog, fled, and terrorized the crew in the tunnels later. However, it was able to identify Dustin and block the Mind Flayer's power, allowing them to flee. The Hawkins Tunnel System. When a portal underneath the Hawkins National Laboratory was opened, a biological growth started to transform the lab's tunnels, spreading out in all directions underneath the town's outskirts. A section of the tunnels was first discovered by Chief Hopper, digging up a pumpkin patch. The Mind Flayer Sentinels, the Demodogs, and Demogorgons assembled and organized their next attacks at a point known as the Hub, where the tunnels intersected. It's littered with the remains of the dead, as well as strange eggs. Vines. The snake-like tendrils that corrupt the tunnels under Hawkins have a sentience, which the main characters in Stranger Things referred to as vines. In Season 1, they can be seen creeping out of the gate and covering the Hawkins Public Library. As Will Byers is captured and taken to the Upside Down, tendrils curl around his body and lock him into place, while another tendon travels down his trachea. When Jim Hopper explores the tunnels for himself, he's attacked by a swarm of tendrils. He discovers their flammability and constructs a makeshift torch. Demodog. The Demodog was the penultimate stage of the Demogorgon genus until it molted into its final adult form. Dustin gave the Demodog its name because of its quadrupedal appearance and similarity to a big dog. Dustin's pet Dart, who belonged to a pack of Demodogs, had progressed to this point when the crew encountered him again. Demodogs are strong, fast, and agile, with rows of sharp teeth. They have the petal mouth that their genus is known for. Demodogs are notorious for being excellent diggers, as the crew discovers when they encounter encounter them in the Hawkins junkyard, where Steve defeats one with a nail-encrusted baseball bat. The Flayed. The Flayed were members of Hawkins society who were manipulated by the Mind Flayer's mental control, and they were the enemies and forerunners of the Mind Flayer's feared appearance. It chose Billy to be its emissary of doom when it could no longer manage Will Byers. It took control of Billy's mind and used him as an instrument of its will, as well as a way of spying on Eleven and her friends' movements. He was able to take over other people, and dozens of them became mindless zombies who finally surrendered themselves to the Mind Flayer, just like a zombie epidemic. The Demogorgon. The Demogorgon was the first Stranger Things monster. There were a few, and it's still the show's most popular character. This is the monster that devoured Barb, R.I.P., assaulted Nancy through the tree portal, and tormented Will and Eleven. It's like a demon with a million zillion teeth opening up and screeching a roar. One of these bad boys was fully roasted, literally, by Nancy, Jonathan, and Steve at the end of Season 1, when they battled it for a short time before crushing it by setting it on fire. Eleven also defeated another one by using her powers to blow it to smithereens, blasting herself into the Upside Down in the process. But just as we thought we were free of Demogorgons, we discovered that our assumption was a little too bold. We get a glimpse of a far-off Russian jail during the Season 3 finale's credit sequence, where the much-discussed American is being held. When that American is passed over for another detainee, the latter is taken to a torture room, where a Demogorgon awaits. The Hospital Monster. The Hospital Monster was a hideous amalgamation of fragments of human tissue, similar to the creature in The Thing, a sci-fi 80s classic. This abomination was then granted the Mind Flayer's mental acuity, effectively turning it into a miniature version of the much larger monster. Bruce Lowe and Tom Holloway, both employees of the local Hawkins newspaper, were the Flayed members who produced it. When Nancy Wheeler and Jonathan Byers assassinated them at Hawkins Memorial Hospital, their bodies turned into a gruesome pulp that struck them mercilessly before Eleven arrived to put an end to it. It was eventually swallowed by the Mind Flayer. The Spider Monster. At the end of Season 3, the hulking monstrosity that assaulted Eleven and her friends in the Starcourt Mall was the most massive manifestation of the Mind Flayer yet. It had evolved from a latent particulate inside Will Byers to a colossal spider beast by constructing a physical body out of the flayed bodies. When Eleven shut the doors, the Spider Monster was the only piece of the Mind Flayer that didn't get killed, allowing it to watch, through its link with Will Byers, and wait for its chance to strike. It was able to do this in secret because of its methodical consumption of Hawkins' people. The Mind Flayer. The Mind Flayer, originally known as the Shadow Monster, is introduced as the main antagonist or monster in Season 2. Will Byers, who appears to have moved on from the events of the first season, continues to snap between the real world and the Upside Down, where he encounters a massive spider-like creature made entirely of smoke and shadows. Will is constantly targeted, and he finally succumbs to it. The boys puzzle out the beast using D&D lore, where it receives the nickname Mind Flayer. Since Will says he likes it cold, they find out that the only way to beat the Mind Flayer is to use fire. Joyce and Jonathan use heat lamps to blast a tied-up Will, and the Mind Flayer is pushed out of his body. Eleven and Hopper go down to Hawkins' Upside Down gate and, using Eleven's telekinetic powers, close the gate, cutting off the Mind Flayer for the time being. The Mind Flayer Season 3. The Mind Flayer is the main villain and monster in the third season of Stranger Things. The Mind Flayer is a creature that consumes a host and uses its body as a vessel to carry out its evil. It's named after the Dungeons & Dragons monster of the same name. In this season, Billy is the main vessel, and the Mind Flayer takes control of a variety of people, most of whom are ultimately transformed into flesh goo, including Heather Holloway, a fellow lifeguard, Tom Holloway, Heather's father, and the editor of the Hawkins Post, and Doris Driscoll, an elderly woman who informs Nancy about the contaminated rats. That's right, the Mind Flayer is possessed. And there you have it, Stranger Things and the creepy, scary monsters that appear throughout the three-part series. Let us know down in the comments if you agree with our rankings, or if you think it needs a bit of a reshuffle. If you enjoyed today's video, then don't forget to like and subscribe, so you never miss any of our new content. Thanks for watching.